Hello everyone, welcome back to Psychology Class for All. In today's session, we are going to learn how to transform raw scores into Z scores and how to find a raw score when the Z score is known. This concept helps psychologists to compare scores from different tests, interpret performance, and understand where someone stands in a group. So, what is raw score? Let's learn with the basics. A raw score is simply the original score obtained by an individual in a test. For example, a student scoring 75 out of 100 on a psychology exam. However, raw scores by themselves can't tell us much. But was 75 good or average? We can only know by comparing it with others, and that's where Z score comes in. Transforming raw scores into Z scores. To compare scores, we convert raw scores into Z scores using this formula. Z is equals to X is raw score, M is mean of the group, and standard deviation. This formula tells us how many standard deviation a score is above or below the mean. For example, let's say the mean score in a class is 60 and the standard deviation is 10. If the standard score, if the student scored 80 and Z score is Z equals to 80 minus 60 divided by 10 is equal to plus 2. That means the student's performance is 2 standard deviation above average. That's excellent. So, Z score helps us to see how unusual or typical a score is. A positive Z score means above the mean, a negative Z score means below the mean, and a Z score of 0 means exactly average. Finding a raw score from a Z score. Now let's reverse the process. How do we find the raw score if we already know the Z score? We simply arrange the formula X, that is raw score, equals to mean plus Z score into standard deviation. Take an example. If the mean is 50, standard deviation is 8 and Z score is plus 1.5, then the raw score will be 62 after the calculation. So this student's raw score is 62, which is 1.5 standard deviation above the mean. Let's take another example for practice. If a student's Z score is minus 1 and mean is 70, standard deviation is 5, then his raw score will be 65. This means this student scored above the average, below the average by 5 points. Why this is important in psychology? Psychologists use these transformations in test interpretation, whether in IQ testing, aptitude assessment, or emotional intelligence scales. It allows them to understand how an individual compares to the group and how unusual a score is. So, just a recap, like positive Z score is above average and negative Z score is below average. So that's all for today's class on transforming raw scores and Z scores. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to Psychology Class for All for more easy lessons in psychology and statistics. Thank you.